obviously you're not a golfer.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pay.
We have heard the chimes at midnight, Master Robert.
You're an inanimate fucking object! You told I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Who the fuck has the goddamn gall to call his house on a Tuesday night? God!
Welcome to the Bratva 343 podcast. You are brought to your eyes with people such as Matthew Patterson, Jackson Workman, and myself, Samuel Schwetzka Halle. All right, welcome to the 3 for 3 podcast. I have a lot to talk about today and a little to talk about later. We got some crazy picks. I want to clarify my pick was not influenced in any way by any Russians sending money to sponsor Hulu to sponsor the Academy Awards this last Sunday. But my pick is Anora. We have Jackson's pick, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl, and we have Matthew Patterson's pick, The Front.
Go fuck yourself.
Can you give me a little bit of money, Matt? Can you please give me a little bit of money? If you give me an orange in return, I'll give you an extra $300.
Don't get me mad at you or mad on you. Don't get mad on you.
Our second movie in the last month with Danny Aiello in it.
Exactly. The
Yes.
GOAT.
Of
The
course.
GOAT.
Rest in peace.
There will be a sound effect later, Jackson. I will send it to you.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
Love how we're playing with the sound effects now. The possibilities are expanding every episode of what we can do on this show.
I want to clarify, Jackson. This is the second time I've had to say this. If I ever have to watch Wallace and Gromit, A Vengeance Most Foul, a third time, much less think that someone's going to mention Wallace and Gromit, A Vengeance Most Foul, I will have to make a mark across their face that they will not soon forget. Because fuck you.
Okay, so I expected that response last week, but I didn't. I thought this was the safest thing I could possibly choose this week.
This,
Stepped on a landmine.
I should have known. I'm a chicken run kid. I always have been a chicken run kid. Never particularly cared for Wallace and Gromit. But I particularly fucking hated Wallace this time. This time he was a little fucking schmuck that I had
Okay.
no sympathy for. Hence my review on Letterboxd. You are nothing without Gromit. And
I can't argue with that.
I will say the chicken nun joke got me. It's good. But yeah,
Left it on your
I
door.
not like this movie. But it's not bad in any way. The animation's great, the music's wonderful. Feathers McGraw, he's certainly one intense motherfucker that
He's a
is
master of disguise
ready
now.
to get that diamond. Ready
Oh.
to get that diamond.
Most assuredly. Well, so is that what we're starting with?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Take it
Okay.
away.
Well, the irony then of this week is I thought I was making the safest choice I could possibly make as a way to atone for some of my recent choices. But now it seems we may have the biggest smackdown that we've ever had on this show because anyone who comes from my boys Wallace and Gromit, you think you're going to leave a mark. You're going to catch these hands around your fucking throat, my friend.
Third.
So I picked this for starters. The last week has been so unbelievably hectic and busy. I barely had time. I just finished Matt's pick literally minutes before we started recording. So I was glad you picked yours because it's one I'd already seen, and I picked one that I'd already seen. And also, I low-key almost picked this last time, but there was no universe where we weren't going to talk about Amelia Perez on the Oscars, on the 2024 Oscar special. That had to happen. But I thought to myself, well, I went out of my way last time to pick one that I knew sucked, and I knew we'd all have a big fun kind of rant about it, and we'd all just tear it to shreds. but I wanted to make up for that by picking a movie that I genuinely really loved from 2024 that was Oscar nominated, and have a bit of a praise fest for that one. So and it was fun for me because I don't know about you guys, Sam. I guess you said you're not much of a Wallace and Gromit guy, but I um I wasn't either until, okay, I'd never seen most of their stuff until this, but I wanted to before I saw this, I wanted to watch all the shorts and rewatch Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which I hadn't seen since I was a kid. Fun fact, that's a 20-year-old movie now. That is
That's
absolutely
crazy.
fucking
Yeah.
insane. I remember seeing that in the theater when it came out as a kid. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun rewatching that after so many years and watching all of the shorts for the first time. And then going into this, like over the course of like 2 or 3 days, it was just one of the most wholesome, uplifting experiences I've ever had. Because I mean, just well, I would say you can't have a bad time watching these, but I guess Sam is going to prove me wrong. One would
It
think.
wasn't particularly even that bad. It just I could not get into the story, and anytime I was like really like focused, it just did not capture me in any way. But the ending with the train, I enjoyed that, and the music in that, and the animation's freaky as fuck. Sometimes so the way the eyes, like I think too much about how the eyes are sitting in these like crevices that like their faces just swoop, and it just bugs me.
Yeah, and it's
But
funny because, well, I mean, and Aardman's got that distinct look to all of their
mhm.
models, where like you know it's one of their movies every time you see it. And it's funny, I Chicken Run is one of those movies I never saw as a kid, but I saw like the DVD at Blockbuster like all the fucking time, and like I would see it everywhere. I'd always see that DVD cover, but I never, to this day, I still haven't seen it. But
Now the only chicken on the run is Mel Gibson. There's that sound
Indeed.
effect.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one, it was nice because again, I really loved going through the whole series and really falling in love with the characters and the style and just, every one of the shorts and the feature films were just an absolute delight from start to finish. And yeah, that's the thing is Wallace be fucking up a lot for sure. He's a bit aloof. He's not always making the best decisions, but you love him anyway because you know his heart is in the right place. And frankly, I mean honestly, I thought that was one of the highlights of this one was, because the formula, of course, for all of them is he invents something, it goes haywire, or just something goes haywire, and it's usually kind of his fault. And Gromit is the one kind of getting shit done, and they, go through their whole whatever is happening that's being caused by the invention. They have to deal with it, and then they make up in the end. And this time, it was nice, really emphasizing their friendship. I thought like there were like really good emotional beats in this one that like really emphasized the friendship and emphasized the fact that like more than any of the others, where I love that scene where they're tied up in the closet and Wallace is like, I only ever wanted to invent things that helped people, like, and I was like, oh man, I know, like your heart's in the right place. It's just, and you can see Gromit's getting all teary in that scene because he's like, I know you did, man. Like it's it's not your
Okay.
fault. You're just
I
aloof.
did, he did give the option like the evil setting, and I'm like, well, at least he's a fair god.
That's the thing, yeah. I'm like, see, that's one of those decisions that's not very
Free will right there.
Don't pick gnomes if you want people to like what you're making, because gnomes are creepy as fuck. Gnomes are inherently bad, so fuck them.
Yeah.
Um,
Apparently, Gromit had to take the gnome out of the room because he wouldn't stop fucking jerking off.
Exactly.
1%. He's like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. That was also kind of a dick thing. I was like, why does the gnome have to be in Gromit's room specifically? But it was funny too that you mentioned that because it's one of the few times Gromit also kind of fucked up because it was him taking the gnome out of the room and putting him downstairs that, if he had
Led
just stayed in
Yeah.
his room that he wouldn't have, Feathers McGraw would never have gotten to him. And, I also got to say, Feathers McGraw, the return of the ultimate villain. He is the most diabolical, calculating, intimidating villain who ever ever existed.
The
But
joke of
Took the law-abiding citizen route for a bit of the movie.
yeah,
the joke of you're going to be locked away and everything, and then it's a zoo. Really, that's a really good joke.
yeah, it was funny.
Yeah,
Um,
and I love that every time. Like I do like the him being like super like to disguise himself, but it's obviously him.
yeah.
Wallace is like a chicken, and then he pulls it out, and he's like, "Oh," and I'm
It's
like, "God damn
you.
it!"
And
Yeah,
I love the kind of I don't know if it was a deliberate reference to Cape Fear when he's just like,
doing the
the
push-ups.
pull-ups. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, that's hilarious. And a good little callback to the first to a grand day out when he's trying to answer the questions on the computer, and it's like all the pictures with cheese, and there's the one of the moon, and he's just like, oh, is that cheese or not? But yeah, and again, like I really liked especially the end. I thought the climactic chase was very, very nice. And again, I love the end where, I love the moments in this one where they really emphasize like the friendship, where that was just a great moment where he's like, I can live without my inventions, but not without me best pal. I was like, oh, that's, it doesn't matter what happens.
How old is Curse of the Were Rabbit?
20.
He's gonna be
I don't-
he's not gonna be living with how much longer, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, good point.
That was my thought. I was like, your inventions will be around longer, probably. But
Well, that's the thing that I
yeah,
always just assumed that like I don't know because it's never really clear how much time has passed in between each one. But in this one, it kind of seems like it's definitely more present day than a lot of the because like he says something about he calls it a smart gnome, and I'm just like that's a modern terminology that
Yeah.
he's using there. So I don't know, maybe he invented a thing that helps Gromit live forever. Because if you really think about it, I mean, they've been around for 35 years altogether, so Gromit should be gone by now, but I guess not. But
I
yeah,
I'll
still
get a
think
t-shirt that says Gromit is my Lord and Savior.
say what?
I'll get a t-shirt that says Gromit is my Lord and Savior.
He never dies. He is everywhere. Something that I was curious about with this one was it's the first one to not have Wallace's old voice actor Peter Sallis because he died a while back, and I was like, they got a new guy to do his voice, and I was like, oh man, is it gonna be noticeable? Is it gonna be weird? Am I gonna be able to tell? I swear to God, if you didn't tell me it was a different voice actor, I would never have noticed. And that's like, I mean, because I was watching the other ones, I'm like, how could anyone? It's not even just the voice; it's his mannerisms and everything. I'm like, how can you get that down so well? Like no one else could do that. And God bless this new guy who they got to voice him. I mean, got everything down pat. Like I never would have noticed. So I was like, whoa, okay. Like immediately, as soon as he said like the first line, I was like, geez, this guy sounds exactly like him. So yeah, and apparently he's worked at Aardman for a while, so I guess he just had time to like study his mannerisms and stuff. But again, yeah, just it was a good kind of culmination of the journey I had been on up to that point. And just really again, just every one of these is just very sweet and just very wholesome and just very like you feel good unless you're dead inside like Sam is apparently. But
I'm a member of the town because the second Wallace fucks up, I am pitchfork and torch. I am not about it.
he
I love
definitely so
I
what?
loved Anya Doorstep, the name. I was just like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love the actress who plays her, Diane Morgan, I think is her name.
hmm
She has a
Yeah,
good one.
I also really liked the cop lady. She was a lot of fun. Like that was I love like the you want to know someone who pissed me off was the fucking police chief. He was a fucking asshole. Like he was in Curse of the Were-Rabbit too, and he didn't have nearly as big of a part in that one. And he was just like average in that. But in this, I was like, you dickhead, like leave them alone. Like honestly, he would
He has
not
an
stop.
axe to grind.
Say what?
He has an axe to grind.
Apparently
Ain't no
so.
turnip.
So what?
That ain't no turnip.
I'm like, how incompetent can you fucking be? You didn't notice it was a damn turnip all those years. You're the fucking chief of police, you incompetent fuck. I mean, come on now.
Cataracts.
I guess so. But and then at the end, he's still, even though Feathers McGraw is like on the boat, he's still just like, oh no, that's not him, that's somebody else. Like refuses.
And
Wallace is the real bad guy of the situation. I'm just like, you dumb asshole. If it wasn't for that lady cop, I swear, like they
I
both
did
would.
also really enjoy when the lady cop was like about him being not that crazy of an inventor, and then he comes out with the crazy machine, just like laughing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also like the gnomes had some catchy tunes, I gotta say. Those little songs they were humming were catchy. Um, but yeah, and again a lot of funny bits, a lot of just, the gnomes building that giant thing in the basement and then they come down and it's like just completely disappeared and just, all kinds of again like funny interactions with the two cops and just like again, just the trademark, like, wry, like British humor that all of these have. And, yeah, again, I just start to finish, had a really fun time with it. It was cool. It was cool for them to bring back like, a character from one of the shorts that's like 30 years old at this point, and just like, there's continuity between the films, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, and again, just I like again like I love how at the beginning they also like they kind of make it so that there's stakes like with them kind of not doing well financially and everything. And I don't know, it's like things like that that get you drawn into the story more and make it more kind of understandable, like the position that I guess Wallace is in. And he does, every that's kind of one of the trademarks of the series that I noticed watching it is, he at times, is very aloof to say the least and makes decisions that are not the best or the most popular. You kind of get frustrated with him at points, but again, at the end of the day, like
All geniuses are.
exactly. And name one genius that ain't a little crazy. But so our boy Wallace fits into that category. But yeah, it's funny because this is our first episode we're doing since the Oscars happened, which was just a few nights ago. And I didn't know what was going to win Best Animated Feature. I was surprised to see what did win. I thought The Wild Robot had it in the bag. But it was cool for Flow. But I was like, I remember sitting there saying, like, if my boys win, I would not be upset at all because they made a hell of a movie, I think. I just think it's cool that they one thing I think is cool is, the fact that they've managed to keep these characters not only around, but like keep making such great things with them over all this time. And I like that again, Aardman is still doing the old school stop motion, stuff like this. And
But
to
there's a
me,
Chicken Run I haven't
so
seen.
what?
There's a Chicken Run sequel I haven't seen on Netflix.
I
But
didn't
I know
know that had already come out. I thought they were
yeah,
still making it, which shows you how little of an impression it made. But
I don't think anyone in the cast came back, so that's probably why.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, I'm sure Mel Gibson didn't come back for that one, but
He's too busy
Actually
shaving
asked
the
for it a couple times, and
say what?
they said no. He asked to come back, and they said no.
he was too busy shaving the front of Mark Wahlberg's forehead.
Yeah, but
Did
I
you
think
like
it's
it?
cool.
Oh,
So
sorry, I cut you.
I'll go ahead.
I was gonna
It's not
ask
my
Matt
favorite.
his thoughts.
Not my favorite Wallace and Gromit, but I've only seen two. I haven't seen any of the shorts or anything like that. But I remember watching Curse of the Were Rabbit a lot as a kid, but on like pay-per-view.
Hmm.
So I did not see it in the theaters, but I was actually kind of surprised to hear that they had not made a sequel since then, because when I found that out, I was like, damn. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's like
Flushed away, but
again, still not my favorite, but I still enjoyed it. And it was funny and just kind of, just sit back, relax, and enjoy it is what I did.
Yeah, and again, I think it's cool that you know, just Nick Park, who created the characters and has done all the directed all the movies and shorts, like still has control of it, is still finding ways to like, it's never dated no matter what decade they make one of these in. Like that style of humor works. These characters are still endearing, and it was really cool to see because I didn't know until kind of right before it came out that they were making this. I had no idea they were doing another Wallace and Gromit movie, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's been a while since the last one."
Something that threw me
And
off was it came out January on Netflix. I thought it was a 2025 movie, but no, it was around for a while in 2024, and people were like talking about it.
I think
Uh,
yeah, like it technically yeah, tw like December 2024 is when I thought it came out, but yeah, then it was like because they included it in like last year's awards stuff. But yeah, I think you're right. It didn't come out for us anyway until yeah, January of this year. But I
yes.
guess maybe the Brits got it first.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, again, just like all of them, it's very endearing, very funny, very quirky, very, I just love, I mean, you put these characters in anything really, like I'm just gonna have a fun time with it. And again, just watching all of them in a row over the course of a few days was just, if you ever need a feel good experience, that's what I would recommend. Because Sam, that was when you were sick, and I was going to recommend that you do that to feel better, but clearly it wouldn't have had any effect. Would have just pissed you off even more.
It would
But
have been more of a fever dream.
but and one of these days I got to see
I mean,
Chicken.
who knows? I'll check it out in the future
Yeah,
again.
and
Some
I would really recommend the show. I mean, just with the caveat that if Wallace's behavior gets on your nerves, that's not going to change, no matter how many of these you see, because that's kind of just his whole bit. But again, like
it's mainly his defiance that he fucked up is that what upset me was like, no, they're great. The gnomes are wonderful. And
yeah,
I was
it's not usually until
your
the
eyes
end.
that are already open 24/7, you fuck.
Well, let me ask you this: do you like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
Well, he's the same exact way. He's constantly
Right.
fucking up, and his niece has to solve the damn problem every time, the niece and the dog. So it's like that, see, because like he's Inspector Gadget and Gromit is his niece, basically. So, but yeah,
Some
just
Gromit for life.
Wallace and Gromit for life. That's if anything has happened to me so far, good in 2025, it's that I've become a big Wallace and Gromit fan. So if whatever they make with those characters in the future, I'm gonna be there for it because yeah, just it was and this one in particular, honestly, like out of the four shorts and the two feature films, like I would put this in the upper echelon just because, I really, again, animation was great, story was great, a lot of funny bit. I like the gnomes cracked me up. I really like them. So, I like their singing. I like the fact that they were like wreaking all that havoc and just them trying to stop them was fun. And just watching again, I thought the emotional beats in this one were stronger than a
Yeah.
lot of the other ones. So
The submarine coming up made me think of Hail Caesar. Not to, but it made me think of Hail Caesar,
yeah, yeah. But
which
yeah,
was still funny nonetheless.
tell you what.
I still stand by it's funny nonetheless.
It's not, but it's fine.
No, I'm saying specifically the submarine
Oh,
entrance
oh.
in both.
It's random, yeah. That was one of
Uh,
the more random parts of that movie. Isn't Dolph Lundgren in that scene for like a second?
Yes.
Which is random as fuck.
but speaking of Hail Caesar, we are on to the next pick, directed by Macho Macho director. Filmmaker. I'm losing this accent. I don't know where to go. Tinsel hair. The tinsel hair in Anora is the highlight of this movie. And my movie this week is
Anora.
Nora. Anora.
Now a
I
best
really
pick.
thought you were going to go with the Blacklist connection with Hail Caesar.
Well, that's where I'm about to. Oh, I should have. Damn it.
We can go there later.
I know it's we
We're gonna
yeah,
go
we
there
can
later.
bring
I
it
have
back.
some final words that the
Well,
front.
speaking of blacklists and communists, Russians in Anora. So there you
There.
go. That's the
Yes.
connection.
Yep.
Yes. Anora is queen. And she's not Annie. She is an Anora, despite what she will tell you. We have Mikey Madison going wild, getting assaulted, throwing some shit down, doing some assaulting, a whole slew of things going on that are intertwined with the Russian boyfriend that she has and soon to be husband and eventually husband. What his parents are connected in, we don't ever really find out, but we know that they're a lot worse people than the way we're perceived to think they are. And basically, Anora follows her life as she falls in love with um I forgot her boyfriend's name, goddamn.
Vanya.
Vanya. Vanya. Which I don't know if y'all saw his dancing video at the after party for the Oscars. It was wild.
I need to
He
see
was
that.
going ham.
Tattoo time.
But shit's not good when you illegally marry a Russian high profile person's son when he's partying in America and going through girls every few weeks. And so that shit got to be annulled. And we got Tomasayan, I think I'm saying that right, who is the heart of this movie for me. I felt so horrible for him the whole time. He was just
Igor?
trying to not get killed himself by the Russian leaders. And
Were you talking
when
about Toros or
the guy that she kicks
The
and
guy
he
who
has the
throws up in the
concussion,
car.
and then he like starts seizing out in the car and throwing up
yeah?
as the
Okay.
concussion. Wonderful man. I wish the world for him. Um, Yuri Borisov, really good in it. Definitely my least favorite character. He just bothered me. Something about him really bothered me. I don't know what, but it's maybe those rape eyes. I don't know. Maybe.
Sam's coming in with some hot takes this episode, I gotta
I
say.
know. Yeah, that we had this conversation a little bit the other night, and I'm like, okay, can't wait to get into this one.
Um,
Oh, what?
nah, Jackson, you're gonna have to cut this. He didn't rape her because he's a fucking faggot bitch, according to Anora.
I don't have to cut it because it's a line from the film.
But yeah,
Didn't rape her. We're just
best
gonna
picture. Oh,
sure.
okay, we're not gonna get into that. But um, so yeah, four Oscar or five Oscar winning Anora.
And
Yeah.
Sean Baker is the only person who's won the most Oscars in one night.
Yeah,
Well, that's the crazy thing is he's the only person who's won that many for the same film.
Oh, the same film, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Walt Disney also won four in one night, but they were all for different things.
that's one.
So, yeah, fucking insane. So yeah, we touched on it in last week's episode briefly at the end. We had a little thing about Anora,
I
but I guess we'll
sorry, I
go.
do want to clarify. As soon as we stopped recording, I went and watched it. I had no knowledge of it winning anything, so take that.
Well, we were wrong, or you were wrong rather, when you
Yeah,
announced the Best Picture winner this year. So you pulled a Warren Beatty, Sam. You said the wrong damn thing.
my eyes saw Wicked. Okay.
They handed you the wrong envelope backstage. That's what happened.
Turned out to be Cynthia Erivo wearing hair.
Third.
Indeed. But yeah, so it is wild, yeah, because the Oscars just happened a few days ago, and we talked about this last week without knowing it was going to win. I mean, I predicted it was going to win Best Picture, but I didn't know it was going to sweep the way it did. Win five damn things. Sean Baker got four fucking awards. That's insane. And so I guess since me and Matt kind of already talked about it a little bit, what did you think? Just seeing it for the first time.
I didn't expect it to be like 90% Russian, so that also caught me off guard. But great. I just the more it went on, the more I got sucked into her story, and then that whole segment where they come and break into her house pretty much, and then pin her down and eventually gag her and all that kind of stuff. It's like Jesus. And then it's the red scarf that they use, and I had seen the Criterion cover before, and it has the red scarf, and so I was like, I wonder if she's gonna wear that in the movie, and then that had that its moment. I hate Diamond. Diamond's a fucking bitch. She's a fucking money grabber, a boyfriend, husband stealer. Fuck Diamond. I really enjoyed the bouncer, or not the bouncer, the dude who owned the strip club. Uh, every time he's talked, I was like into it. Mikey Madison did great. I read that she did her own nails throughout the production to like help keep costs down. And I'm like, Stuart and I were talking about how I wonder if how you would feel to be like her nail person, to have a Best Picture winning film have your nails in it and that kind of stuff. It was great.
Um,
It just captured me instantly. It just sucked me in, and I was there for everything. And um, very interesting. Not my favorite Sean Baker movie, but really enjoyed it.
um, yeah, I may have said this last week, I can't remember, but the thing that shocked me about it so much, because I knew the basic premise, but the thing that shocked me about it so much was how fucking funny it was. Like most of the movie is a comedy. Like there are serious moments, of course, but like that whole I didn't realize that the majority of the movie was just going to be them trying to find the kid and just them walking all over the place trying to find this dipshit little kid and them just like fucking up and getting into all these crazy like so it took me off guard how there's like this whole basically 15-20 minute section of the movie where they're just at their apartment like trying to like attack them basically and get them to cooperate and just that was like, wow, okay, I didn't see it going this direction, and it was a lot of fun. I was fucking dying laughing for a lot of it. Especially, and I did mention this last week. Karen Karagulian, who played Toros, was absolutely fucking phenomenal. That character was so hilarious. That scene where the scene like I was laughing through a lot of it, but the scene that literally had me doubled over laughing in my chair was when he's trying to get the car from the tow truck driver. Was just absolutely fucking dying throughout that whole part and just so many like he just was so good at just being so exasperated and so just like I don't know. It was just a very, very, very funny performance. And apparently that guy's been in all of Sean Baker's other movies. Um, and I didn't realize that. So I guess it's cool that he gave him kind of like a moment to shine here.
Mm. And that one thing about the two of them specifically, Taurus and Garnet, um, you really feel the aspect of like they've been up for well over a day by like towards the end after they get him and go to the airplane, and you see them all like doing their different things on the airplane, and the kids still fucking black out trying to like wake up and talk to his mom. And it just has a really realistic depiction of that exhaustion that I really appreciated.
Well, and that's the thing that Sean Baker always goes for is realism. Like the only other movie of his I've seen is The Florida Project, but in both cases, and I know that's his whole thing, is like you don't feel like you're watching actors. You feel like you're watching real people, and the environment feels real and the dialogue feels real, and it just none of it feels, fake in the slightest. So, you know, yeah, everything they go through, it has that set. Like again, just like the fact that they spend so much time in that house, like just going through every step of them trying to like them coming in and then the kid running out and then them trying to like pin her down and keep her there and then the guy like the realistic amount of time it takes for the guy to show up and it's all very like realistic and well done and kind of adds to it. But yeah, that about this in the Florida Project. That's the thing I like most about both of them is the kind of realism that they both have. And again, yeah, just all the way through. I don't know. It's weird because like it's weird to call this a feel good movie because it isn't at all. Like especially with the end, but like I don't know. It is in the sense that
Igor felt good.
say what
I said Igor felt good. I'm
he
just fucking.
sure did.
He actually didn't even look like he was enjoying it that much either.
But again, it
It's just car sex is uncomfortable. That's all it is.
Huh?
say what.
Car sex is uncomfortable. That's all it is.
Yeah, that was the problem. Yeah, she was just
Yeah.
I
I'm
actually did think about that.
Nothing
I'm like,
else.
they're
None of
just on the
the
side of the
earlier
street at like 6
trauma
a.m.
of succumbing to the person who like took you away from your husband and all that. So
yeah.
There's some old lady standing outside the car, like, I'll have what she's having.
Give me a piece of that, young lady. But yeah, well, I was thinking more like along the lines of Paul McCartney, why don't we do it in the road? I think that's what they were trying to do was pay tribute to the Beatles. But yeah, but again, it feels good in the sense that like, I don't know, I just felt incredibly good while watching it for the most part. It was just like, it was my favorite movie of 2024 that I've seen. And I just, from start to finish, I was completely locked in. I was so entertained. It was one of those movies you really don't kind of want it to end. You're enjoying it so much. It was just like for a movie that like I don't know has so many like kind of serious moments that are like not light at all. It I don't know. It felt good for so much of the way through just because like I can see why this won the Academy over so much because like there's just something about it that just, I don't know. You just feel good when you're watching it. It's like so entertaining. It's so fun. It's really funny for most of the way through. Just again, just watching these idiots try to search for this
Yeah,
kid.
I think that's where the serious moments come in, and they hit even harder
Right.
when like shit's not okay and like things are going wrong, and you just immediately want the best for the people in the situations, but also what you want conflicts the other people in the same situations that you want to have like resolved.
Yeah, I mean, what I loved about this one was when I sat down in the theater to watch it, like once Vanya runs away, and the whole time I'm like, oh, he's gonna come back later, right? And then the second half of the movie is them just searching for him. I was like, what is this gonna be? Like, this is not at all what, like, I've seen every trailer and I did not expect that part. And I was kind of sad too, because I kind of liked him. I was like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why he acted the way he did. He literally just smoked weed and played fucking video games all day. Uh,
Mature.
it was very obvious. It was kind of like in your face, but like when I was watching it, I was kind of like, oh, I want them to get together and him to stick it to his parents or whatever. And then when he just ran away from that, I went, oh man, you fucking suck, dude. And then yeah, so I was kind of heartbroken when that happened, just as much as Annie was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because yeah, I didn't again, I knew the basic premise, but I didn't know like what the tone was going to be, what direction it was going to go in. So I couldn't tell at first. I was like with the kid, I was like, okay, what direction is this going to go in? Is it going to be he seems like kind of an immature fuckboy at first, but then it turns out he has a different, like, sweeter side to him, or is it going to be he seems or is he going to turn out to be a much worse, more obviously terrible person later on? I couldn't tell where it was going at first. And then when he ran out of the house, it kind of hit me like, okay, that's where they're going. He's just a dick. Because when he ran, I was just like, uh-huh, I think we're not going to see him again for a while. Because he was very quick to just like abandon her there and just, um, yeah, when they kept,
Also fucked that he didn't even share with her like how like when the second it started, he did not be like, this is very serious. He just
yeah.
did his own thing and fucked
he
fucked
was
off.
he was more kind of concerned with himself than with her, clearly. And
Mhm.
then just again, it's like even when you see what an absolute dick he is, like when you finally and again, like they do such a good job of like, getting you invested in them finding him because like way later when he finally shows up on screen again for the first time in what feels like an hour, when he's in the strip club, you're like, holy shit, there's that little fuck. Like, where have you been? It's like a big deal even seeing him on screen again. And of course, he's in the fucking strip club because he's a little fuck boy. And again, even at that point, I was like, I hate this fucking.
Place they met.
Say what?
The place they met.
Yeah, of all places. And but even then, you kind of hate him and you want to hit him over the fucking head. And it's funny because you think like, oh, he can't get any worse to me. But then that scene on the runway where she's like, "Come on, just stand up to him." He's like, "We're getting a divorce." He says, "Yes, what are you fucking stupid? Of course we are." I was like, "Oh, okay, I was wrong. You can hate him more now." Like, what a little dickbag. But
But
yeah,
also relatable because like he ran from his parents when he was in trouble, and I think everyone can kind of most people
yeah, I
can.
mean, but see, that was the thing is like at first, you don't know what his character is yet. You don't know what his intentions are. So it's like, you know, you're like, it could be a relatable thing where he just, yeah, kind of wants to stick it to his parents or whatever, but yeah, that doesn't end up being the case. But it was also, I got to give credit to that actor, Mark. I have no idea how to pronounce his last
Yeah.
name.
I looked
Idle,
it up before we
Idle
started and I
Strong.
was like, I'm not gonna be able to try.
Yeah, but he's I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him in more stuff because he was really good. And yeah, all the actors, like the core five, like that's one of the things I love is like you're with those four characters like on that journey to find him. Like in each of their own ways, you get kind of invested, and that's a good point that you made earlier because you are kind of rooting for all of them, but you can't root for all of them because like you're rooting for Anora, of course, but you are also kind of rooting for Toros and the others because it's like I feel bad for you guys. You're put in this situation because of this dipshit kid, but at the same time you're all dicks, and I don't like want the marriage to be annulled. So it's like, but they do a good job of kind of getting you attached to them as a group, and I just love the scene where they're in the diner, just like they've been through all this shit over the course of this night and they're just taking a minute to just kind of chill out and just be like, all right, for a minute we've been fighting, we've been going through all this shit, but we're just gonna eat, you
That's
know.
when I was feeling the worst for I forgot his name, Garfic,
Yeah,
Garvic.
something like that.
Um, because he just the second he started looking bad when his nose was swelling and stuff, I was like, oh, he's not okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, he has a concussion, and then sure enough, he started throwing up in the car and all that kind of stuff. And then I was just like, oh my God. Like this man is gonna die because this is taking so fucking long and he's not getting medical help.
At least he was staying awake.
Yeah, well, that's when he was asleep in the back of the car, I was like, oh no. And then they wake up. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
I
Yeah.
did say, I remember when he started throwing up, I literally like said out loud, I was like, he's been fucking telling you guys all night he
All
needs to go
night,
to the fucking
all night.
hospital. And like you're getting pissed at him. He's been telling you all damn night. Like, look at what happened.
Yeah.
Joseph Capalbo, I think the music was also really good for each of the scenes. I don't know what was like 100% him because I feel like some of the club music might have been where they spent money for copyrighted stuff, but I don't know.
I like
I
that
haven't
main
looked into that
song
too
that
much.
plays throughout the movie.
Yeah, but
I didn't know
the
if
main
that was a
music
I didn't know if
is
that was a pre-existing song or one they made for the movie, but it was
I would
really
assume for the movie because
it would make
there's
sense.
there's a album online that you can listen to that's like pretty extensive.
Oh,
So
really?
there's a lot of music in it. So
Yeah, I thought that was, and again, like it's funny because again, like I don't know, the first part of the movie, it does kind of feel good at first, where it's like, all right, she's like having fun with this guy and they're partying in Vegas and they're doing all this stuff and the song is playing and you're just like, all right, we're having fun. And then even when we go into the second part, because that was the thing that I was like, if this is the thing where in the second part things kind of start to fall apart and they don't approve of the marriage or whatever it is. I expected it to be a lot more dramatic, but it's honestly funnier than anything in the movie, just them trying to I guess that was kind of what took me off guard about it, which I thought was so brilliant. But what do you guys think what's your interpretation of the very last scene? Like why do you think she breaks down?
Oh, I figured because he gave her the ring, and it seemed like he was the only one who actually gave a shit, even though she was shitting on him the whole time. And so she just wanted to feel something. And like, there's a scene earlier where, uh, like they're having sex, or her and Mark Irishan are having sex, and he just is going at it, and she's like, "Can you slow down?" And that scene was them slowing down. Like the actual lovemaking, not
Right.
just sex.
Right.
So
I did
that was my interpretation, at least when I saw it.
with him like grabbing her the way he did, but I think he was also a little confused as to what was happening in the moment, so I'm unsure. But I think that she got triggered by something in the midst of it, and that's what led to the rest.
Yeah, it's funny because I had my interpretation when I saw it, and it's funny because Sean Baker said he deliberately kind of didn't make it clear what the cause of that was because he wanted it to be open to interpretation. So For me, because there are several things you could interpret from that moment, but for me, I think it's funny because so much of the movie is so funny. And it sucks because like you think it's gonna go for the heartwarming ending where out of nowhere, Igor is like the one who gets her and the one who cares about her. And you think it's gonna be like the fairy tale ending, and then that last scene just kind of hits you in the gut and it's very sad. But my interpretation of it was, she couldn't quite handle it because I remember it was funny because I was like, for that whole last 10 minutes where they start bonding and he gives her the ring and he's being nice and everything, I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, this would be so sweet, like if they get together and that's the happy ending. But at the same time, there was kind of this part of me in the back of my mind that was like, something about it just doesn't feel right though. Like it felt like it was say what?
It's his eyes.
I guess so, but I thought I was like something about it doesn't feel right because it just feels too soon. Like all this shit she just went through, it just feels like it's too soon for this to happen. But I was still like supporting it. But then when she starts trying to have sex with him in the car, I was like, all right, this is cool, this is nice, this is good. And then she breaks down, and I was just like, and you notice when she starts breaking down, because I love and props to Yura Borisov in that scene because and just the way it's staged, like you can tell throughout that whole scene just from his face and his body language, he is being very careful to like make sure that like she's all right with it. He's not making any sudden moves. You can tell he's very reluctant. He's very kind of like you can tell from his body language throughout that whole scene, like, are you sure? Like, okay, I guess I'm gonna gradually get more comfortable. And then it's the moment where he goes in for the kiss. He like puts his hand on the back of her head and tries to go in for the kiss that she freaks out. And I was just like, wow, she's so triggered and unable to understand the idea of someone actually caring about her that she kind of can't handle it. She's used to, because you see, I mean, you kind of see in that moment, like immediately just tries to get on top of it because that's what she's used to.
Yeah.
That's her job. That's how she sees that kind of thing. It's just like, all right, I'm just going to immediately do this because this is what I do. And
Oh, I think as well, like she maybe in some aspects was just trying to feel something as well.
And I think because that was more my thing was like, is she just traumatized for now because of what she just went through? Or is it just a general sense of I don't understand how to process these kinds of emotions? And I guess that's kind of more the point that's left up open to interpretation. But in any case, you can see she in that moment is not capable of accepting like genuine like actual love or affection because she has no problem having sex with people in like a transactional way, you can see, because that's just what she's used to. That's not threatening for her, but like, actual love when he's like trying to like kiss her and like make her feel shit, that's when she gets and it's just sad because it's like, anyone who's in that position who feels that way, that's just a sad thing. And that's kind of the sad little punctuation mark on the end of the film there is just like, oh wow, she for one reason or another, whether it's because of what she just went through or because that's just who she is, like she can't really process like actual. And I think it was sweet too how Igor comforted her afterwards. Didn't keep trying to go or anything, just kind of held her and just, understood in that moment. Like, all right, like I'm not gonna like I just need to be here, in this moment to just make her feel better. So which was sweet, And I gotta say, you know, I really like I think that the dude who played Toros like gave the better performance, but I can't give enough credit to Yuri Borisov because again, so much of his performance was just through his face and through his body language and just, especially in those last 10 minutes in that last scene, you get a real sense of everything he's feeling, like all the, complicated emotions that are going on, like
I
the
love. Oh,
yeah.
can you?
Oh, go ahead.
I really love the moment, and it was the second thing in the same week that I'm pretty sure I saw that happen in, or A Complete Unknown was the second thing I saw that week that had to happen where someone lights two cigarettes at once and then passes the other cigarette over. Um, but the barrier that got broken between the two of them, in that moment, I really connected with, and it was something that I just there's those intimate moments sprinkled in throughout these very surface level comedic moments that also have some also darkness to them.
Yeah, for sure. And again, that's kind of what it does a good job at is balancing those two sensibilities kind of really well. Like comedic moments with also moments of genuine like emotion and character and and things like that. And again, I remember like it sucked that it had such a downer ending, but it was also very, very like poignant and meaningful. Just seeing like, wow, it's sad. She kind of can't really have the fairy tale again, whether it's because of recent events or because that's just how she's always been, I guess is up to interpretation. But, you know, I think I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say it would be more because of recent events because she was willing to get married and willing to do all that before all this happened. So, I think that it just sucks because I think the whole thing may have traumatized her, and now she's kind of like incapable of making a real connection like that. So, but yeah, it definitely, I mean, I was happy to see it win so many things. I was not thrilled about Demi Moore losing Best Actress. I'm still kind of processing that one, but I can't. The Best Actress race was very tough this year. Like her, Mikey Madison, and Fernanda Torres really all deserved it. It was just like a matter of who
I'm
they.
still here is one of the few movies I could not find anywhere, which upset me.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters because they were doing their Best Picture showcase, so I just happened to catch it on the day that they were showing it. I cannot recommend it enough. It is fucking phenomenal.
That's
Uh,
great.
but I'm so glad it beat Amelia Perez for Best International Feature. That was the highlight of the night for me right there was that happening. But yeah, it and like, I was sad when Demi lost, but Mikey Madison just absolutely crushed her role in this. I mean, I can't say she didn't deserve it. She definitely, um is a star in the making, and I'm very curious to see kind of where her career goes from here. And it is very weird hearing her without the Brooklyn accent because, like wow, such a perfect Brooklyn accent in this movie. For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
my last words on this is that this right before the Oscars, this close, this close to being my favorite picture of the year, and I was ready for it to win everything. And then I watched Sing Sing, and I want to recommend that to anyone out there who has not seen it because that movie is gold and will have a special place in my heart, just as well as Anora. But Sing Sing's a fucking wild movie, and I want to take back anything I said in positivity towards Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. Coleman Domingo deserves the fucking Oscar, and I will fight for Coleman Domingo for the rest of my life.
Yeah, he's kind of become the villain of Oscar night for some reason. I don't get why. I really,
Oh, I
but
enjoyed everything that was going on with Adrian Brody Oscar
I
night.
don't know if
Just
he threw a
no,
gum or a Zin back at his wife, but I like to think it was a Zin packet that he had in his
yeah,
lips.
I thought it was as in.
did you know, by the way, that his fucking girlfriend right now is Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife?
That's
Yes.
why I wrote the joke earlier.
When he said daddy's when he was he told the kids to like call him dad or something like that, or like he referenced himself as daddy to the kids, and I was just like,
Yeah.
God damn.
I was like, man's got balls to be pulling Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife. I mean, that's just,
Harvey's Weinstein's ex-wife is getting fucked by the pianist.
there you go. It's,
Whoa.
yeah. But
Three. Oh, you're gonna say
oh yeah, no, I just thought that was wild. But I was gonna try to fit a brutalist pun in there somewhere, but I couldn't come up with one.
3 years old, young Adrian Brody was going to the cinema near his house. What was playing? The Front. The Front. Directed by Martin Ritt, blacklisted friend, my friend that I corresponded with during the blacklisting, and Woody Allen. Be take it how you will. Um, Director of New York. He could have been your favorite, or he could have been your least, depending on who you are and your age. Anywho, Matthew Patterson, you chose The Front, 1976.
Has nothing to do with the Oscars at all. It's the one it
That's
does
what's
not.
fun. That's what's funny is like I don't think either one of us went out of our way to like pick Oscar movies. We just kind of happened to, and then there's just this random one thrown in there. But I like that we have variety this episode.
Yes. So The Front, directed by Martin Ritt, as Sam said, starring Woody Allen and Zero Mostel and some other people whose names are escaping me at the moment. Um,
Kurt Mostel is one sweaty fuck in this movie. I'll just tell you that now.
I
He
loved his
always is.
performance in the movie. So like this is one of those where I kind of heard it was good and stuff, and I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to be one of those like I didn't really need to see this, but I'm glad I did. I felt like this was a good movie to watch. One of the better Woody Allen performances, but that's just because he's not doing anything he's writing or directing, so he's just acting. And he is still himself in this. He's not trying to be any much different, but I did like his performance. But Zero Mostel was great. So the movie is about Woody Allen, who is a cashier slash amateur bookmaker.
He is not a cashier. Not anymore.
Nope. And he is friends with some writers who, at the time of the film, which I do believe is like in the 50s, has some beliefs that do not align with the McCarthy administration, and that causes him to get blacklisted and to get any kind of money because writers don't know how to do fucking shit else. He needs his friend Woody Allen to submit his scripts for him, which then becomes a racket, to say, of Woody Allen submitting a bunch of his friends' scripts, and then he gives them kickback. And in the process, he becomes friends with a producer lady who he has a romance with. And turns out she is also a communist. And then we find out Zero Mostel, who is the host of the show that he is writing for, um, is also a communist, and he is
Hey,
getting
he only went to the
blacklisted.
he only went
But
to the
like,
May Day parade, and he was only looking at that ass. He was
ass, I was
not
gonna say,
looking at.
Not a
yeah,
communist with a lover of big ass.
it's only because she had a big ass. He is not really a communist. He just likes the ass.
Michael Murphy.
Wasn't
Signed-
thinking about a
he
name.
signed
He was
whatever
interested in her
pamphlet.
ass.
But
Michael
his
Murphy was the
performance
goddamn
actually is like really heartbreaking while also being super funny at the same time, which is like I've never seen him like that before. And I've seen like producers and stuff, but this was by far and away the best. Danny Aiello is in it for a bit. He's not too much in it, but he's in it. It's a very interesting movie about the blacklist. It was made by people who actually were blacklisted because it was right around that time where they could do that, which is why Woody Allen took the role in the first place. Was he was even not sure if he was going to do it. Uh, I think it's a really interesting movie. I was surprised. It's not, not like too. It's not the best movie ever, but it is definitely I think, informative one about the blacklist. I still have to see Trumbo though.
Oh, you've never seen Trumbo?
No, I just know he writes in the bathtub with the typewriter, and I've seen like this
wow.
one scene with Louis C.K.
That's,
where he
that's
like
kind of
never.
the ultimate like blacklist movie for me. That's like, that's a really good movie. But yeah.
Yes, that's I don't know what you guys thought about it. I just also watched it this morning. I don't know if Sam did, but I know Jackson, you said you did.
Yeah, I
But
literally finished it like 5 minutes before we got on.
I think maybe my favorite part is the ending, but I don't know. We can go into that. It's
uh
up to you.
Sam, what do you think?
I'll think.
I really, really enjoyed Michael Murphy in this. He is what really sucked me in, and then the possibility of him being a communist and everything, and them just constantly berating him like, "Do you know Alfred Miller?" And The biggest walk-in filibuster I've ever seen in my life. Fucking Woody Allen. That man can talk and distract you and say a bunch of words that you're like, what was I even asking you? And then they already asked the same question earlier. And so he was like, well, you already asked me that question. What about the question you're wanting to know now? And all that kind of stuff. And
Tools that he used later on in life.
Yeah, very much so.
uh, time gives a new meaning to Catch a Predator. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Russians or Woody Allen, you'll find your way.
Yeah.
But who is Howard Price really? He's not a writer. He's not a
One
Ruski.
of the things I liked was when he told her he wasn't a writer and she was mad at him and he was just like, "You see, I'm not an artist. It doesn't matter." And I'm just like, "Dude, you lied to her."
He's his own man. He's a cashier and
It's
he's a gambler.
it's fun. I felt the exact opposite way. I was like, as soon as he told her he wasn't a writer, she was like, "Oh, well, fuck you then." And I'm just like, I was kind of saying the same thing. I'm like, you see, as soon as he tells you he's not a writer, you're like, don't want to be with him anymore. I'm just like, I get that he lied, but like, what the fuck was he supposed to do? I don't know.
That is fair. And he was actually no, I take everything I just said back because he was helping the blacklisted writers and she was a fucking communist, so she
That's
should have
what I
been
said.
like,
Like she's lecturing him the whole movie about like
yeah.
you have to
So
do
I take
something.
that back.
You have to do something. You
Wow.
have to do something. And it just says that he's doing something, and she's like, "Oh my God, you lied!" And I'm just like, "What the fuck is the
Oh
matter?"
yeah, and she's also like, just where's your money? Like, did you give us money?
Yeah,
That's easy for you and
and
stuff.
he
And he's
says
just
like
like,
a good line where he's just like, "I'm not confessing to a murder here. I'm just telling you, I'm not a writer. Like you don't have to. You don't have to turn so white in the face." I'm just like, yeah, she's being kind of shallow there for sure. But yeah, this was an interesting movie because it was not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting it to be way more comedic, I guess just because Woody Allen was in it. And it was way more serious than I thought it was going to be, which I liked. And yeah, it's weird, like watching something with him in it that he didn't write or direct. Like, I think it's the only thing I've seen from with him in it that he didn't either write or direct. But like you said, he is very much himself in this. He's got all the Woody Allenisms going on. And he gives a very good performance, but obviously, as good as he is and as good as a lot of the others are, obviously the show stealer is Zero Mostel. I mean, as is the case with a lot of the things he was in, he is definitely yeah, man, again, like that was kind of the moment it really hit me when his character dies. I was like, okay, this isn't going to be funny. Like there aren't going to be any laughs for the rest of this film. Like this is just serious. Like I was not expecting that to be so fucking heartbreaking. I mean, really, like his character arc was the best one in the movie, and I love the scene where, and again, it's like it's a realistic depiction of what happened to a lot of people who were blacklisted. I mean, a lot of them did kill themselves. A lot of them because they couldn't fucking work anymore. They were hounded by the government. I mean, it was just like, just the sadness of seeing him go to that club and the jerk off promoter guy is trying to give him 250 when he used to work for like $3,000, saying like, I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. I love that scene where he fights the guy. He's like, out of your own pocket, huh? And like, tries to strangle him. I was
blood.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And that guy just screaming at him, "You got me, fuck." I was like, man, fuck you, dude. Like, honestly, stop short shifting him and maybe he won't attack you. But yeah, it was definitely very, and again, I loved like because to me, yeah, it was like at first I was like, okay, I like this, but it's nothing like special or anything. But then like more in the second half, it really started winning me over because I loved that stuff and I loved like the scene in the hospital room where they're debating what he should do with the committee. I thought that was a great scene where
Dr. Price.
yeah, or
It, the one funny scene though is when he's like
Dalton.
telling the TV head, he's like, "You gotta fight it. You gotta fight it. We can't just let
yeah.
them bust in." And then he's like calling him, and he's like, "We're gonna fight this." Uh-huh. Okay. Yes. You gotta go in. Like,
Yeah, there
oh,
were a couple of moments like that, and like earlier when they're like, "So, which scene do you think should be taken out?" And he's like, well, I don't want to."
maybe, maybe not.
I don't want to upset you or you.
Yeah, or when he
He's like
has,
pointing at both of them. People are like, ah.
yeah, And when he's like got to do the rewrites right there on the spot, and he's like he doesn't know what to do and stuff. So there were definitely moments of levity in there, but yeah, and like God, the scene at the end, like where he's in front of the committee was just so outstanding. Like the writing of that, where it didn't even feel like it was written. It felt like Woody Allen was just bullshitting on his own. And it's just, I love the way he
I
just,
felt so bad for his lawyer.
yeah, well,
He was so stressed the whole goddamn.
I didn't really because he seemed like kind of a jerk off to me. He was just like,
I
I,
mean, he was,
I
but
think that the work this committee is doing is outstanding. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
I will say I like the scene or the look Woody Allen gives when they're like, just give up like I can't remember the name of Zero Mostel's character. They're like, just give up him. But he's dead, he earlier he'd already said he's dead, but I'm just like that like look he just gives where he's just like,
Yeah.
fuck this,
And I
I
love
was like, oh,
again,
good shit.
I love how like he has such a great arc because it's like he goes from like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just whatever, I'll do it. I'll be a front to like, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to do anything. It's not my business. And then Hecky's death really like is the thing that finally makes him see it in a different way and be like, oh my God, okay, actually fuck these people and I don't want to give them what they want. Like look at what they're doing and like even then he's still playing, he's fencing with them. He's not gonna tell them to go fuck themselves. He's still like trying to play ball, but not really play ball. And then that's the moment right there when he says, "Just give him Hecky," and he's just like, "But he's dead." He's like, "So what?" Just the fact that they're trying to disrespect this guy's memory even after he's dead. That's the moment where he finally is just like that great line, yeah, where he's
Yeah.
like, "I don't recognize this committee, and you can go fuck yourselves."
I love that they all get up and run and they freeze frame as he walks out the
That
room.
was so great. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm. Yeah, that and he goes to jail and he takes the rap and he's just I love that. That was
that
just
was another funny thing though when they're kissing and you're like, oh, is this like a fairy tale ending? Like where they're kind of doing it, and then the handcuffs come up.
yeah.
that was great. And yeah, that was again like that was the part that really won me over was just the great arc he went through and the great arc that Zero Mostel went through, and just that super sad, just long scene where he's tipping the guys, and they're bringing him the food, and then it wasn't until about 5 seconds before he did it. I figured maybe he was gonna die, but I didn't think he was gonna kill himself. So like once he goes over to the window, I was like, oh my God, no. And then yeah, that was and fuck that guy, by the way. Hennessy, that fucking asshole who's sitting in his fucking office. Like he's an asshole throughout the whole movie, and you hate his fucking guts. But especially that part where he's gotten everything he fucking wants. Like, but he's sitting in the office and he's like, "Mr. Prince, do you expect anyone to believe that or that to hold up?" And the guy literally says, "Dude, he's fully cooperating with us. There's no need to like be hostile towards him." And he gets up and walks out of the room. And I'm like, even when this guy's fully cooperating with you and giving you everything you want, you're still trying to like get him somehow. Just that mindset of just like, I'm just gonna persecute every single person I can, no matter what. Because, man, and again, it highlights so well just the mentality of the time, how those people on the committee thought. It was just like, we're never gonna stop trying to accuse and prosecute and destroy people.
They
And
weren't even concerned about the immigrants coming in through the border. They're only concerned about communism within the arts.
yeah, the entertainment industry.
That guy, whoever did play that Hennessy guy, was like one of my favorite people in the movie, mainly just because of how terrible he was. I was like, your acting is just so good because I want to beat your ass so bad. Every time you talk, every time you open your mouth to look at somebody, I want to hit you. And I was like, that is a good actor right there. Unless if he's just like that. But no.
And again, really like that felt like a real guy to me, that dude. Yeah, I was just like, I can see this dude being like an actual like member of the House Un-American Activities Committee. And yeah, it's funny because there are also like random actors who were popping up throughout the movie. Like Danny Aiello was random, and then David
Love
Margulies.
the scene when he tosses him the orange though.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
He
And then
pays him back, then he goes and gives his nephew a baseball mitt and pays his brother back. And
yeah. And then David Margulies as the one of the writers was odd seeing him show up, and then Joseph Summer as the head of the committee. I was just like, all these random fucking actors are popping up in this damn movie, and yeah, the whole thing was very interesting for sure. It's my first Martin Ritt movie, so I'd like to see more of his stuff. But yeah, all around, just not what I was expecting, but in a good way, because it was a good and also random thing. I just noticed a lot of actors who Woody Allen worked with later in his own movies, like Michael Murphy, who was in Manhattan, and Danny Aiello, who was in The Purple Rose of Cairo, and like all these. I'm like, okay, so I guess he must have made some friends on this set, who he worked with later on down the road.
have either of y'all seen The Curse of the Jade Scorpion?
No, I want to.
It feels so much like this movie. The way it's shot, just the way he talks, the tone, everything about that movie is very similar to this one, and it's kind of a mystery in some aspects as well. And I don't know, I just kept thinking about that movie the whole time I was watching this, and it made me want to rewatch it. Um, but he wrote and directed that, so and that was much later in his life, so
It was like
experiences,
2002 or something, right?
yeah, experiences could have influenced. So
So I would say we're 2 for 3 this week.
Well,
I'm
I'm 3 for 3. Yeah.
3 for 3.
Um, but yeah, someone over here is a regular Feathers McGraw who wants Wallace and Gromit dead, but
well, that's where I have some things to say. If
Oh,
you
shit, I heard a little
I
bit
heard it
of
for a
that.
second. Yeah.
what did you say?
We heard it for like a split second,
Oh, really?
but
I,
not, yeah.
but I'll send you the audio.
Okay.
If you have a teapot on top of your house, or in your kitchen, I mean, fucking check it for a diamond. Because that shit was hidden. You're in trouble. If you marry a Russian boy who has connections to the Russian mafia, potentially, you never know. Don't marry him. You're gonna have problems. And last but not least, do not take your friend's scripts as your own script and try to become famous off of them. Because it won't work. You're gonna become accused of being a communist. This is our most Russian episode yet.
Which is probably not a good thing given recent events, but
Exactly. But we're gonna rock with it. And that's been a 3 for 3. Oh, I threw up the 4 first.
shout out to Ulrich Thomsen.
Yes, shout out
Shout out.
to Ulrich. Hell yeah.